This is Beau, and Ava is over there tethered to the floor. She's, yes, I know. Okay, let's make it a little easier. How about this? Oh, look at that. This is their roadmap to success. All right, you're gonna go crazy. All right, well I'll give you this then. Here you go. She's like, nope, I just want to get down. All right. There you go. All right, so we went over, and that's kind of a good example of these dogs. Is not a good example of their behavior, but I want what I want. I'm gonna freak out, and I'm gonna keep on doing it until I get my way. And I don't think that the guardians have done things to spoil the dogs, but I think that a lot of their interactions have been without any structure, so the dogs really don't see and identify them as authority figures. And they think it's kind of like we're all the same status around here. This is a foursome, and then we all have a kid that's 4 years old. So the dogs can be stressed out because they think that they're in charge of us, but we don't listen to them. They tell us what to do, tell the guardians what to do, pet me, and the guardians petted them. So that reinforced that they were in charge, that the dog was actually the authority figure. So what we did is we went over rules that we can incorporate. One of the rules being no furniture for at least 30 days, or as long as the problem's going on. Having to sit before we let the dog in or out of a door. We're going to start on the inside, or wherever the dog is, where we're controlling the resource he wants the most. If the dog really wants outside, do it when the dog's inside. Now, we also have some potty issues here, so while we're doing remedial potty training, which I'll talk about in a second, we might not want to do that particular rule, but the dog shouldn't be within 7 feet of anyone who's eating. The dog should have to wait for the humans to go through a door or up and down the stairs or whatever, through in front, because whoever's in front is the leader. Also look for ways to delay gratification. I'll talk about how we can do that through food here in a second. But one of the things I went over was a remedial potty training. And so I'm going to do that right here so the guardians have this kind of refresh in their memory because it's the first thing we went over. Most people don't train their dog properly to potty train. They say, go make a potty, and the dog's like, I don't know what the word potty means. You sang it to me 100 times. Doesn't mean anything to me. So if you have a dog that has accidents, first of all, don't punish the dog for having an accident. It will make potty training worse. If you punish or yell at the dog because it pottied inside, the dog hears, they got mad when I pottied, not they got mad when I pottied inside. So they'll just not potty in front of you, and that makes potty training them much harder. Rubbing their nose in it has been proven to make it much more difficult to train the dog to potty because they will go and hide it behind a couch or somewhere where you can't see it because you're irrational and you rub my nose in my urine for no reason. So we just want to use positive reinforcement because these dogs, the way that the word was introduced to them, I would suggest that we come up with a completely new word like business or something else. So what we do is we go outside with the dog and we give the dog 5 minutes to potty. Most people think the longer the dog's outside, the more correlation it will go. After 5 minutes, it's saying it's not urgent enough for me to go. So we take it outside and we follow it. Anytime the dog starts to pee or poop, we're going to say business in about that tone of voice. Don't say it too excited and don't say it too quiet. Say it right after they start. And just use the same word for peeing and pooping. As soon as they get done, I have a treat with me at all times. And as soon as they get done, I crouch down in kind of a baseball catcher's position. I stay within about 10 feet of the dog. So as soon as they get done, I reach down and I say, offer the treat. As soon as the dog comes over, I pop it in their mouth. Anytime you give a treat, make sure you give the command word about a half second after it touches their lips to activate their pleasure receptors. So I say the word business, and I might even pet the dog, for about 20, 30 seconds. Let the dog know, wow, they really liked what I just did. Now, if you want to jumpstart this, some people will actually go out there, and as soon as the dog goes potty, they might give it 5 treats. Potty. I would tear these in half or in quarters. Potty, 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 potty. Every time the treat touches their lips. The dog's like, wow, suddenly you go outside. I get the mother load of treats. I'm going to hold it. I'm not going inside anymore because I don't get any treats inside. But outside, you get a lot of treats. So now we're associating the word with the action and then the word with the reward. And once we've associated all those things together, when we say business and the dog goes like this, then we know, yes, the dog has to go business. If we say business, the dog looks at us, we know it doesn't have to go. Now, if we go outside and after 5 minutes the dog has not pottied and we know the dog is what I call loaded, then I would take the dog back inside, put it on a leash or carry it around or put it in a kennel and do not give it an opportunity to be free for about 15 to 30 minutes. Then I take it outside and give it another 5 minutes to go. We keep repeating that action until the dog eliminates outside. Now, one little trick that you can use if your dog has elimination problems with urination is to put warm water in with their dry kibble. Dogs' digestive tract, water is typically about 45 minutes, food is about 8 hours. So if you put warm water in with their kibble, let it sit, the kibble will absorb the water. Then I put in even more warm water, swirl it around, it makes a stew. The dog has to lick up all that water before they can get to the dry dog food. Now within 45 minutes, I have to potty. Just make sure you don't do this and backfire and do this and then have to go run an errand and you're setting your dog up to have an accident in the house. Do it when you have plenty of time. So I think these dogs both will be benefited by having some remedial potty training coming up with a new command word. The rules that we talked about are going to help the dog start to see and identify as being in the follower position. Right now, I'm pretty sure they see themselves as equal to their humans. Now, I think it's going to be really hard for the guardian who's filming this to start petting with a purpose, because I think that, like a lot of women, they like to show affection as a way of showing love. But these dogs, I think, are taking advantage. Right there, finally laid down. So now you can take her off the leash if you wanted to. Right now, you might not want to because she's probably going to go upstairs, and I know we have to get out of here in a sec, but that would be the timing. So let's talk about this, because one of the dogs likes to self-isolate. So what I did is I blocked her from doing that by putting a leash around the leg of a couch and then attaching it to her, around the leash through the handle. So she can be free in the room, she can move around, but she just can't get all the way out of the room. And as soon as the dog lays down, if that's the case, then I would take off the leash, get in the habit of, so the only way the leash comes off is when I surrender. Now, if you take it off and she goes upstairs right away, maybe we wait about 10 seconds after she lays down, or 20 or 30, or we block her access to the room. Because she is feels more comfortable underneath things, I think she'd be a good candidate to get a kennel. We don't have to put her in the kennel and close the door. What we're going to do is we're going to have these treats. And I would get a plastic kennel, small one about this big, and just in front of her, find a treat that she likes. She is not a big fan of what I normally use. And just toss the treat in the kennel. She goes in there and gets it. Say the word kennel or palace or whatever the word is for the kennel, and leave a treat in there as well. So every time she goes in there, she finds a treat. She sees you throw one, or one goes in there. And every time she licks it off the floor, she hears the word palace or castle or whatever the word is for kennel. But for her, because she likes being underneath things, I think it's going to help her feel comfortable and confident. Now, because we have a little 4-year-old, I think she's a little bit nervous around the 4-year-old, because a lot of 4-year-olds grabby of the dogs. And this is an older dog that didn't grow up around kids. And so what I would recommend is we use the video that we have above where we teach the child how to engage with the dog in a positive way. But having that kennel and making the kennel off limits. So when the child visits grandma, if the dog is in the kennel, the child is not allowed to interact with the dog at all. Can't lure it out, can't talk to it, only when it's out. That way the dog feels empowered. If I'm overwhelmed, I can go in the kennel and I know I'm safe. But if the child's able to go in there and get the dog, then the kennel is no longer my safe place.
My phone.
Okay, excellent. All right, so petting with a purpose is going to be hard for the guardian, but I want her to get an effort of asking the dog to sit or come or lie down or do something to earn its affection before we pet it. And if possible, we're going to pet it underneath the chin so the dog's nose is up, which is a good positive orientation they have when they feel good about themselves. And we're saying just the command word, just sit, just down, just come, whatever it is. After a while, that word right there, you pet her saying come. After a while, the dog will start responding and doing those to get attention. Because now when I scratch the humans, they don't pet me. But as soon as I sit in front of them to prepay for attention, they're all over me. Now, in the other video, we talked about telling if we have kids, we tell them that petting is our way of saying thank you. But right now, I'm already seeing Ava, who was kind of like aloof to everything. Now the guardian, she came over to the guardian, her new guardian, and she petted her. And then she came by a second time. Now she's looking up at her guardian. She's got her chin in the nose right now, she feels really good about herself. I would recommend that Ava's guardian teaches her a couple new commands. Go to YouTube, look for easy dog tricks, and then find and try to make an effort of once a week, maybe on Sunday, I'm going to teach the trick, and they'll show you how to do it on the video. And then all week long, practice that one trick. At the end of the week, pick a new trick. And now if you teach the dog 4 new things, now as a dog, I feel better about myself. My confidence level is higher. I have new ways to please my human. And especially for her, because she's going into a new environment, or she's starting to transition a new environment, that's helpful because it's kind of a different, when I'm here, I'm becoming a better dog. I'm learning new skills. Now I can play dead. I can balance a treat on my nose or whatever it is. That will help boost her self-esteem. Now, for training her, another thing that we can do, which is what the guardian is doing right now, is passive training. So every time that Ava comes to us, we're going to pet her and say, come. Every time she sits down on her own, we're going to pet her and say, sit. Every time she lays down, we're going to pet her and say, chill, or whatever the word is. Anything your dog does when you pet it is what you're rewarding. So if we let the dog do the end result, when we reward it within that 3-second window and say the command word, after we've done that enough, when I hear come, I'm going to come a running because that's what gets me attention. Now the dogs are motivated to do what I like to call desired actions and behaviors, just by adding a little bit of structure to how we pet them and the times that we pet them. Let's see, what else? We want to use the escalating consequences to disagree with unwanted actions and behaviors. Again, I mentioned in the other video, but if you go to doggoneproblems.com, click on dog training tips, there's a search box on the right, type in escalating consequences. There'll be a bunch of write-ups where I have a video where I discuss the escalating consequences in detail. The last thing I want to go over here is feeding. For dogs, they eat in the order of their rank. Now, the trick question I usually ask people is who should eat first? And when they have multiple dogs and they would debate about which dog, it's a trick question. The human should eat first because the human's in charge. So what I do is, right now in this house, we leave food in the bowl all the time. So this is what we call free feeding. And the dog looks at the bowl as being a magic bowl the food appears in. So what we want to do is, in fact, we're going to eat before we feed the dogs. Now what I do is I put food in the bowls, but I use the third escalating consequence, well, the escalating consequence is to not allow the dogs to be within 7 feet of their own bowl with food in there. Now they're restraining themselves. They're developing self-restraint, self-control. Then the human eats something first. Now, if we're on a diet or we're not morning people, we just eat something in 5 or more bites. Take a piece of celery or something like that and eat that in 5 or more bites. Then we give the dog permission to eat. I say the command word when the dog takes its first bite. So I say grub, chow, and feast. So maybe when Beau is eating, we say grub. Just for the first bite. After saying that, this is passive training. After we do this for a month or two, we say grub, and he's like, oh, that means it's my permission to go eat. So this way the dog sees the human eat, and the human tells them when they can eat. Now, if the dog sniffs the bowl and walks away, pick up that bowl, dump it with no sympathy, and put the bowl back down. What you're saying is, if you don't want to eat, that's fine. I'm not going to force you. I'm not going to ask you to do it multiple times because that gives the dog more leverage. I'm giving you 3 minutes to eat. If you don't want to eat, that's on you, not on me. If the dog walks away, as soon as they walk away, that's their way of saying, I'm done. Pick up the bowl, dump it, but importantly, put the empty bowl back down. We want the dog to walk by the empty bowl over and over and over throughout the day and see that there's no food there. Then that rare exception when there's the 3 minutes in the morning and the 3 minutes in the evening when there's food there, that's a special exception. That excites me. That's enticing to me. That makes me want to eat. A lot of dogs that don't eat very well, the guardians think I'm going to leave food in the bowl all the time, and it backfires. The dog has no motivation to eat because it's always there. But it's only there a couple times. Now it's closer to what they deal with in the wild, and they're motivated to want to eat. All right, I'm sure I'm probably forgetting some things, but if the guardians have any questions, I want them to text me. I will give them my cell phone number. I don't care how long it is. If I don't hear from my clients, everything is usually good. When there's a problem is when my clients let me know, and after 2,000 dogs, I can't follow up with everybody each week. So make sure you call or text me sooner rather than later. Usually I can help with a quick adjustment over the phone, but if you wait 6 months and then call me, we might have to do another session, which I like to avoid if we can. So, all right, I think that's about it for this one. Remember, before we stop it, are we stopped already? All right, everything you do trains your dog, only sometimes you mean it.